strangers living in it, furnished with your things, eating at your table, even letting their dog chew up your couch. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. I had been gone for nearly a year serving with my platoon. When my boots finally hit American soil again, all I wanted was a quiet night at home with my daughter and a chance to breathe normal air. Instead, I pulled into my driveway and nearly slammed the brakes through the floor. A minivan sat in my spot. Kids' bikes littered the yard, and through the blinds, I saw people I'd never met sitting on my couch. At first, I thought maybe there'd been a mistake, but when I went to the door, a man answered like I was the intruder. "Can I help you?" he asked, arms crossed like he owned the place. My blood ran cold. "This is my house," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Who are you and why are you here?" He smirked. "We're renting. The HOA said it was fine. Paid good money, too." My chest tightened. Renting? This wasn't some vacation rental. This was my home, the one I'd bought outright before deployment. I marched down to the HOA office, still in partial uniform, and demanded answers. And sure enough, there sat Karen, the HOA president, with her smug smile plastered on her face. "Well," she said, tapping her pen like she'd been waiting for this. "You were gone for so long, the community voted to keep the property from going to waste. We simply arranged a rental agreement. Perfectly reasonable." Reasonable? My jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth might crack. She had claimed authority she didn't have. Under U.S. property law, 18 U.S.C. 1003, 143 wire fraud, and 18 U.S.C. 241 conspiracy against rights. What she did was flat out criminal, but she brushed me off, saying I'd need to file a complaint with the board. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I wasn't just a homeowner, I was a soldier. And if they thought they could steal my home while I was serving my country, they had no idea what was about to come their way. I walked out of that office, pulled out my phone, and sent one text to my platoon's group chat. "They took my house, need backup." Within minutes, replies started coming in. My brothers in arms weren't just going to stand by, while some HOA clowns cashed in on my absence. This wasn't going to be settled in some board meeting. This was going to be settled the way soldiers handle business. The next morning, I stood across the street from my own house, fists buried in my pockets, watching a family of renters load groceries into the fridge that I bought with my deployment pay. They weren't the villains here. They'd been conned, but I couldn't ignore the burning rage in my chest. This wasn't just about my property. It was about principle. That's when the rumble of diesel engines broke the quiet suburban air. One by one, familiar trucks and SUV rolled up, doors swinging open, and out stepped my platoon. Boots hit the pavement, and suddenly, it wasn't just me against Karen's scam anymore. It was an entire unit of trained warriors ready to take back what was mine. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe because the story is only going to get better. We didn't storm in blindly. Soldiers don't do reckless, we do tactical. First, we approached the renters. I kept my voice calm even as my pulse hammered. "Listen, I'm the legal owner of this house. You've been scammed. The HOA president had no right to rent this place. I'm giving you the chance to leave peacefully, and I'll even help you get your money back in court." The husband looked skeptical until one of my buddies pulled out a copy of the property deed with my name on it. The color drained from his face. "You mean we've been paying her?" he asked, motioning toward the HOA office down the street. "Exactly," I said, "and she's about to pay for it." That's when Karen showed up, strutting in with two of her so-called HOA enforcers. They weren't cops, just meatheads in matching polo shirts, but they thought they were tough. "You can't just show up like this," Karen snapped, pointing a manicured finger at me. "These people have a contract." "A forgery isn't a contract," I shot back. "And under state real estate fraud laws, you just committed multiple felonies. Unauthorized leasing, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Want me to list them alphabetically, or should I let the sheriff do it?" One of her goons stepped forward, puffing his chest. "The lady said this house is hers to rent. You don't like it, take it up with a lawyer." That was it. My platoon brothers closed ranks, and in a second, the air grew heavy with tension. These weren't random tough guys. They were squaring up against battle-tested soldiers. One of my men leaned forward and whispered just loud enough for them to hear, "Buddy, you have no idea what you're about to step into." The standoff ended fast. Karen's enforcers backed off, muttering curses, but Karen wasn't done. She jabbed her phone at me, threatening to call the cops for trespassing. I grinned. Good, call them. Let's see whose name comes up on the deed. And while she stormed off to make that call, my platoon and I made our move. We marched straight into the house, my house, and began taking inventory of the damage. My photos boxed up, my daughter's room rearranged, even my medals stuffed in a drawer like junk. Every step I took through that house fueled the fire inside me. Karen thought she could profit off a soldier's absence. But what she didn't know was that she had just declared war on the wrong man and the wrong platoon. Karen thought she'd pulled the power move of her life by calling the cops. What she didn't realize was that the law wasn't on her side. It was about to crush her. We didn't have to wait long. 2 sheriff cruisers rolled up, lights flashing, deputies stepping out with hands on their belts. Karen rushed toward them like she'd just won the lottery, screaming, "Arrest him." He broke into my rental property. I stayed calm, arms crossed, my platoon standing like a wall behind me. When the deputy asked for proof of ownership, Karen shoved a stack of HOA paperwork into his hands, all smug and smiling. The deputy flipped through the pages, his brow furrowing. "Ma'am," he said, "this isn't a lease agreement. This is an HOA maintenance notice stapled to a Word document. Where's the legal contract?" Karen's face drained of color. It's there. Check again." That's when I stepped forward and handed the deputy my property deed straight from the county clerk's office, stamped and certified. "This is my house. They forged paperwork, took money under false pretenses, and trespassed while I was deployed." The deputy nodded slowly, then turned to Karen. "Ma'am, under Texas Penal Code 32:46, securing execution of a document by deception, and 32:45, misapplication of fiduciary property, what you've done here qualifies as real estate fraud. That's a felony, and if these renters press charges, you're also on the hook for theft by deception." Karen's jaw hung open, but before she could spin another excuse, one of the deputies added, "And since you used forged documents to obtain money, we're also looking at federal wire fraud charges. You understand the gravity of that." Her enforcers panicked immediately, blurting out everything. They admitted Karen hired them, that she promised them easy cash to intimidate me if I returned, and that she'd pocketed all the renters' payments herself. The deputies cuffed them on the spot. Karen still fought it. "You can't do this. I am the HOA. I'll sue all of you. This is harassment." The deputy shook his head. "No, ma'am. This is fraud, conspiracy, trespassing, and harassment. You're under arrest." When the cuffs clicked around her wrists, I swear the whole neighborhood froze. Renters gasped, neighbors filmed, and one old man down the street even clapped. My platoon didn't cheer. They just stood tall, silent, like we always did after a mission accomplished. The aftermath was brutal for Karen. She was charged with real estate fraud, conspiracy to commit theft, wire fraud, and trespassing. She lost her HOA presidency permanently, was slapped with restitution orders to repay every renter she scammed, and faced years behind bars. As for me, my platoon and I spent that evening back in my living room, boots kicked off, beers in hand. The renters moved out, and I promised to help them in court to recover their money. Karen had tried to steal my home. Instead, she'd handed me the sweetest victory of all. Justice served in broad daylight with my platoon standing beside me. And here's the truth. If the HOA ever thought they could pull something like this again, they'd have to go through me, and I'd be ready.